didn't understand like why it happened. He's like, oh, this never happened before, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Welcome to the Big Dane podcast. I'm your host, Dana Trimborn, and this podcast is a random hodgepodge of topics that gets released on every Tuesday on, your preferred platform, of course. And I really enjoy sharing my personal stories and making those connections with you guys and just really being relatable, all in a fun and silly environment. Hey everyone, have you ever gone on an 11-day road trip to New England during the summer? Yes, not a 10-day, not a 12-day, but an 11-day trip, okay? Well, if you've been thinking about it, I have some tips for you, so news alert, all right? And stick around to listen to it all. I will be breaking this vacation experience into two parts. So this will be part one. But the whole trip, Matt and I, we went to Providence, Boston, Cape Cod, Portland, back to Prov just to break it up on the way back. And in this episode, you will not believe what happened to my car in Chatham on the Cape. So stick around, my friends, and here we go. So, first stop, Providence, Rhode Island. So we left on Wednesday, June 23rd to just start this wonderful road trip, okay? And just to give you some background, so if you haven't heard, or if you're a new listener, I went to school up at Johnson & Wales University at JWU. Played tennis up there, so I wanted to show Matt, my boyfriend, where I went to school in Providence. He had never been, so I thought, you know what, let's do it. We'll do a little night there, and then we'll be on our way to all of our other fun places. And we actually even thought before, we were planning everything, like, let's just fly, it'll be much easier. At least I thought it was going to be much easier. And they're like, wait, let's not book it yet, because we heard, with all of the rental cars just skyrocketing, and then there just really not being like as many car rentals. So when we actually looked at it, it was going to be like over $1,000 for a week. I'm like, okay, well, we're staying more than a week, so it's kind of like stupid money to just like throw at a rental car when we could drive my car, right? So that's what we did. So we're like, you know what, let's just take my car, barely have like any miles on it, and I just got new tires, so let's do it. So that is the backstory, but yeah, so we got there, and I knew a lot of it changed already just from doing research beforehand and figuring out like, just places to go to, other than what you remembered like 9 years ago. So yeah, when we first got there, we went over to Union Station Brewery. So if you haven't been to Providence, this is right attached to the downtown Marriott. Cool spot. It used to be a train station many, many, many years ago. And it's almost like a little bit like underground because you have to step down to get into the restaurant. But very cool spot, great beer. And yeah, so we're like, yeah, let's do it. Cheers. And had our beer, and then just was like showing Matt around. I just couldn't believe we were there, like once you're there, it's like, wow, vacation has begun, and Also, right around that area too, another like landmark just to kind of put into perspective, Kennedy Plaza is right there, the bus station. So that bus station is right there. But truly, I mean, you're really just downtown. They call it Down City because there's so many hills in Providence. So if you are new to manual driving, yeah, you might want to rethink because you gotta just commit to that clutch when you're going up those hills. So, just as an FYI, all right. But the first night there, I did want to show Matt Brown's side. And when I mean Brown, I mean Brown University, and that really sits up on the hill there. So we were just about like a 10-minute walk down from one of the streets that I would go to. This was more senior year because we lived in a different area, which I'll talk about in part 2 of this episode, of where we used to live, where I used to live, sophomore, junior year. So I said, let's go over here. It's really cool. And we stayed in an Airbnb, just enough space. It was wonderful. So quiet and just loved it. So after we got our beers, we were able to check in. So we kind of just dropped off our stuff and then showed them around Thayer Street and pointing out like restaurants that used to be there, new restaurants that are there now, and the street, it's really like not that long, compared to other like main streets, so to speak, of towns and whatnot. But it's kind of a lot like where like the students reside, and it's kind of like a mixture between students on that side and that one area, and then as well as like residential people that just live there. But it was really cool to see that street, and I'm pointing out like left and right. I'm like, well, this is where I chugged the beer and on Cinco de Mayo, and just all these memories like coming back to you. And so then what we did, and what actually Matt had seen before we got to Providence, this pedestrian walk. He's like, oh, what's this? I'm like, a pedestrian walk? I'm like, what are you even saying right now? I'm like, this did not exist when I was here. So we said, let's go check it out. So we bopped on over to there. Beautiful, beautiful walkway. And it's basically like, kind of splits between, well, it makes your way over the Seekonk River there into downtown. So instead of like only being able to go like one way to Down City, like this was just like another way. Would have been super helpful when had some of those drunken nights when we were over like on that side of town to walk back because there's not as many. I mean, it would have been nice to just use the pedestrian walkway. And what we realized when we first got into Providence too, the scooters. Like, how helpful would that have been? Scootering around as a student, like what? So we did that, and then we saw this like little pop-up beer garden like right across the bridge there. So I guess they hang around there in the afternoon through the evening a little bit and try to get some people around. And I think sometimes too they'll have some food trucks, which is cool, so can keep an eye out for that. And that area too, you can tell it's all like newer. They're still doing some construction, so I think what they would want to do too is also have like some live music and that sort of thing. But definitely it's looking good. So we just kind of took the scooters back up the hill, which I'm like, oh man, like can it handle the hill? And I was also like nervous like about going down the hill, like how good are these brakes, because they don't give you helmets, which I'm always like, oh, can I just like rent a helmet somewhere. But yeah, so you just like pray that like everything's gonna be fine. But yeah, cause you know what? There's a bunch of like cobblestone up there too, but like at least like the main roads and everything are just like smoothly paved and stuff. So we did that, got ready for din, and then we had our reservation at Providence G Rooftop. Guys, please take note. This is a cool spot. This was not here when I went to school. And where it is in comparison to Down City, literally across the street from the Yana Center, which is where I would go to the library. So it's like literally there. Like you have Gaby Commons, which is just the common area where all the freshman dorms are right there. And then it's like, okay, here's a library. And then literally across the street is this rooftop like restaurant. Hello. So we actually got there a little bit earlier. So maybe it was like 6:45 or something. And our reservation was 7:30. And so we get there and then the hostess, she was like, oh, there's an event going on. So, we can't let you in up until the rooftop till 7. Like, okay, like whatever. We'll just like wait here, like in the lobby. So like we waited, and then so then 7 rolled around, and then she's like reading like a text from like, I don't know, her boss or who knows. And now saying like, oh, actually, we're not letting anyone up there until 7:30, like until like when our reservation was. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So then we're like, okay, like now we have a half hour. Like, what the hell are we gonna do for a half hour? Like such an odd amount of time, right? So we're like, let's see if we can grab a drink somewhere. So we literally go around the corner and go to Congress Tavern. Yeah, that wasn't there either, but like a cool, just local spot. You can tell it's like a chill spot, and got a beer. And I was kind of looking at it. I was like, this glass like looks like kind of large, like larger than a pint size, right? But you don't really think too much of it. But just because the way glasses are, it's like some are more like wider than others, and then it could be deceiving, like, oh, like is this 16 ounces or like is this actually like 20 ounces? So before you know it, like we have to bounce. So it's like 7:27, like shit, like I still have like a third left of this beer, so I'm like trying to chug it. Very happy beer that I had. It was definitely like a local one. It was like wormhole, worm something. And then I get the bill, and I'm looking at it. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, why was my beer like $8.50? What is this, Citizens Bank Park? Okay. And then I look at it next to it, like it has like 2 line items, 20 ounces. I'm like, Jesus, like if I would have known, like I could have saved myself like from chugging like the last of this. And I'm like immediately like buzzed, and so that was like a struggle bus, but we did it, and then we are ready to go to dinner. So very cool spot. And then we split these fried oysters and a duck flatbread, which is funny because it came out like, oh, this is a pizza. Oh, this is oh, it's a pizza? It's a flatbread. Then don't advertise it as a flatbread. I'm thinking like very thin bread, right? It's very long shaped. You can like easily split this, no problem, and this was like full on pizza. I'm like, all right, cool, this is great. But no, it was very cool up there. You could see everything. Would have been interesting to, what it would have been like if I'd been there, if that was there when I was there. So that is that. And then next day, we're like, all right, gotta make our way to the Cape Cod. So checked out, showed him my old place up on Hope Street, kind of walked around. There's this other park. If you're looking for other parks, there's Blackstone. So that's still on that same side, like where Brown is, but just like further down. Very cool pathway. It's kind of like in the middle, almost kind of like those like median type of like walkways where like the cars are on like either side, but there's like a walkway in the middle, you know what I mean? And then we're like, all right, gotta eat, like we're ready to eat. So of course, like guys, this was the trip of breakfast sandwiches, like just delicious breakfast sandwiches. Got these breakfast sandwiches at Dave's Coffee. Dave's Coffee in Providence. This is on South Main Street, okay? Write this down. Homemade English muffins. And you know, it's kind of nice that they kind of spell that out for you because I don't know if like other places really do that. Like say if they do offer an English muffin, like around here, you're like, okay, I guess you're just getting a Thomas muffin, which Thomas is great. Okay, great. But if I'm looking for like a breakfast sandwich, I expect you to have homemade English muffins at this rate. So very tasty, one of the best breakfast sandwiches. Yes, do it, get it. Then I just showed him another street. Wicked Inn. So this is kind of like, yeah, more like you're going away, same side as Brown, but you're going like away, like I guess towards like the water a bit. And just another really cute street with restaurants, shops. And then I showed Matt Harborside. And Harborside was where all the athletics were. And then, of course, all the culinary and baking pastry. So that was so fun. And then, yeah, on our way to the Cape. Woohoo! So we really looked out with beautiful weather in Providence. It was like 70, sunny. You know, you can't ask for anything more than that. So Cape Cod, we stayed in Brewster, Mass. So this is more like the North Shore side, I would say. Stayed in this really cute Airbnb, had our own private room, of course. Kind of like basically like a basement almost, like a walkout basement, because we had the key to a sliding glass door, which was fabulous. But it was so cold in there, like so cold. I was asking the host, I was like, is there any way, you know, you can like bump this up? But I think because it's just like the whole house, like she can. And like, so we're like trying, like all the vents were like already closed and it's like dripping from, you know, the ceiling just because it was that cold. It was just like getting crazy. But yeah, it was a very cool spot, very quaint place. It was actually on a cranberry farm. Yeah. So not the kind of cranberries that you're probably thinking of where, you know, you're in water up to your waist. These were actually dried cranberries. So they were like not surrounded. They weren't like submerged in water or anything like that. But yeah, so we couldn't like walk across like the cranberries because right on the other side is the pond. So, and they had rowboats for us, which is really cool. So like we made our way like around. We had to like walk all the way around. And because when we got there, it was like really nice. And looking at the weather ahead, like wasn't that great. So like why don't we just go out now and then we'll see what happens. So we did that. And one other thing that was pretty cool too, they had chickens on their land there. They had so many, like over 100 chicken. Make fresh eggs, and yeah, they would sell them locally. So pretty cool. If you're curious or this sounds like a cool place, let me know. I will send you the details. But it was really, really cute place. Had a fire pit, very relaxing, very quiet. So cool. So we took the rowboat out. Okay. So we're trying to go, like, I don't know if I've really ever been on a rowboat, you know, like been on like other like motorized boats, but not like a rowboat. I've been on kayaks, you know what I mean? So like Matt's like trying to row. So he's trying to row and like the whole handle like comes like disconnects, like the metal's like coming out. Now the whole handle is just like out, you know, and not connected to, I'm saying handle, but, you know, what do you call it? The rowing paddle? The paddle. Is that what it is? Yeah. So the whole thing where you would row and, like, put the paddle in the holder came out. So I'm like, oh, my God, we're going to get stuck, or, like, we're going to have to, like, get out and, like, paddle this back. But so that was, like, hilarious. And because it was small, the rowboat, like we were facing each other. So like anytime he would row, the paddles like at the top would hit my knees. So I'm like trying to like move my legs around. But also there's not very much room. Like I have the towel. I got my Nantucket tequila soda in my hand. Yes, how cool is that? They had these tequila sodas. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Got that. So, I'm like holding on to like very important things here, but so that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, so then later that night, what we did, we actually ended up going to this like really like fancy ass restaurant. And so we get there and oh my gosh, guys, I just have so many things to tell you. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But so we get there and like very fancy. Like we didn't realize like how fancy this place was. It was on a resort. Like you got your country club and then you have a resort. Like this is top notch. So like we get there, very big chairs and everyone's looking very fancy and like some people look, have that preppy style going on. Like definitely older people. And our server, she's like, oh, what are you celebrating? And we're looking at each other. I'm like, oh, vacation. We're celebrating vacation. I guess you go there to like celebrate. But yeah, she like gave us the drink menu and man, we're like starving. Like we're getting a little hangry now. And I'm like, where the hell is this food menu? We're like, well, maybe she's coming back. But like, it was such a like a delay. Like it wasn't like very slow service, but it wasn't that fast either to start off with, I'll say. No, it was a very cool experience. And so when we put our drinks in, I'm like, can you like get us the food menu? And she's like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna go get it now. I was like, okay, cool. So looked at the menu. They had this $150 7-course tasting. Whoa, how cool is that? I'm like, okay, I guess we're not doing that. $300 and something later, right? Would have been cool. Maybe next time, you right? So, we had, well, I said it, but the best grilled octopus. Oh my gosh. I thought around here in Radnor, Philly, the same restaurant, Estia, very good. Very, very good. Definitely recommend. This place just topped it. They said they poached their octopus. Yeah, to really like tenderize it. Holy shit. Yeah, it was so good. So good. So definitely like recommend like if you're looking, even if you're like you're not going to be like right. Yeah, so this was in Harwich. Yeah, so if you're going to the Cape, you have to go to 28 Atlantic. You must. And it was funny too, like we were looking at other people's table and we see like the bread and everything and like okay, cool. Like and Matt's like, oh, I wonder what kind of bread it is. Probably like something fancier. It's like, oh, it's probably like focaccia. Isn't it focaccia? Focaccia with truffle butter. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Very good. So then like that night was pretty good, pretty fun, and then next day we just kind of we chilled a bit because we were thinking like let's go to the beach. So we did the beach in the afternoon. Nauset Beach, that was a recommendation from a former coworker of mine. Very quiet. It could not have been a more perfect day on the beach. I feel like I never say that, but I mean truly, because there was like no winds, it wasn't too hot. I'm like, where are we? So we just chilled there and yeah, had a lovely time. But when we first got to the beach, so we're coming down, we're used to the beach tags here, whatever, and sure, like I'm not like assuming like, oh, it's gonna be a beach tag, but like, okay, well, is it free or like what? So here's like cash only, $25. I'm like, I don't have fucking $25. I only got like $23. We're like counting change in the car, and I didn't bring my full wallet because I just don't like to bring a whole huge ass like bulky wallet on vacation and just like have what I need. And so, yeah, needless to say, we had to like turn around to like go get cash at an ATM. So if you're going to Nauset Beach or frankly any of the beaches of the Cape, make sure you have cash because, yeah, otherwise you're going to get charged up the ass with fees when you go to an ATM and your bank's like, what are you doing? This isn't PNC Bank, you know? So that was cool. And then did the beach, and then we stopped at, of course, a brewery afterwards. So close by there, if you're looking for something, go to Hog Island Brewery, and we had some lobster rolls there. Okay, and then the next day, we went to Martha's Vineyard. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. I will say, just like another like FYI and tip, if you get a parking pass, to park and then hop on the ferry, not like with the car, but like you park and then get on the ferry, just make sure you read everything, or like even if maybe you still have questions, because yeah, Matt had like got us a parking pass, and then we got there, like there was just so many people and like not enough time to ask any questions like, did we just park in the right area? But because you're supposed to be there like half hour before, and so it was just like a nightmare. Like we went back and forth to the information booth, to the ticket booth. Oh, you still owe a balance. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no, we don't. Like, we paid for this already. So honestly, what happened was like we didn't have time to figure it out. It was either we're going to miss the ferry or, just pay again. So I left my car in the parking space. We like really lucked out. And we took a picture, and then we like downloaded the app and then paid. And then when we got back, I got a fucking ticket. I know. So like we're trying to like figure that out still, but so all I gotta say is like get there even early, like more than I'd say like 45 minutes to really figure it out, because it sounded like the parking, like where you were supposed to park with the parking pass, was actually like further away, like probably like you had to walk like 10 minutes. I'm like, we don't got time for that. So looks like we're paying triple here, so just a little fun fact. So Martha's Vineyard was very cool. You get in there, it's Oaks Bluff right there. We went to the information booth, see what we should be doing. So the guy had recommended to actually get a bus pass. It's only $8, guys. So get a bus pass, and then you go over to Edgartown. There's a little bit more, I wouldn't say to do, but like there was a lighthouse over there and a brewery, so obviously. So that was a no-brainer. So like we went around just like for a little bit, half hour or so in Oaks Bluff, and saw these really cool gingerbread houses. So these date back to the 1800s. It just feels like you're on like a movie set. You're walking by these homes, you're like, what the heck? And you could tell like some people own them and others maybe like are just vacant. And back then they were more like religious reasons, as far as like, okay, like let's have a retreat and like have these little homes. And like I guess even a while back before they built them, they were actually like camps. And then what they really wanted to do is just like have all the members around, and over time just to really like build a community there. So that was kind of like the backstory of that. But so that was pretty cool. So then before you know, we're on our way to Edgartown on the bus, and we just walked around. We got lunch. We saw the lighthouse was really cool. Had a frosé. And then what do we do? So then, we just bopped on over to the brewery. Bad Martha's Brewery. Good beer. Bad Martha is what they say. And we actually got sweatshirts there too. But that day too was starting to get a little bit more hot, and we were feeling it. So like after walking around all day, and then we're like, okay, now we gotta go walk an extra like 15-20 minutes like to the brewery, because the brewery was actually before the bus stop going in. So we had to like walk out of like the immediate town there, and then we just chilled there, and we met this couple, Charlie and Anna, and they're like our parents' age, and we just sat at the bar, we chatted with them, and just like had an amazing time. So just love like meeting new people and just like chatting on vacation. So that was a lot of fun, and just felt good to just sit and relax. And then The next day, yes, we did another beach day because after being Martha's Vineyard all day, you need like another chill day. So we did that. It was fabulous. Went over to Mayflower Beach. Holy wind. Like, this was totally different than Nauset Beach just because of the weather. And I guess, I mean, maybe that's what the North Shore is like, and a lot of wind. I'm not really sure. But like, it kicked up so much that like the sand hurts your skin so much. I mean, so, we were there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours and then called it a day. And then we saw a sunset later that night, which is very, very pretty over at Breakwater Beach. Like, these colors that were like happening in the sky, and like, what is going on? It's like, I think we might get it framed. It was that cool. But we had eaten at a country club that night. And it's like, after eating at 28 Atlantic, you don't want to eat like anything else. But it's really funny because we looked over. So this was at the Lynx Tavern. And very cool spot. And we look over and there's these turkeys on the golf course. Like, what is happening? So that was pretty funny. And then, let's see. And then the next day, okay. All right, guys. So this is Chatham. Here we go. This is what happened to my car. So next day, go to Chatham. This was another town that a friend recommended, about 20 minutes, 15 minutes away from we were staying. And very cool spot. Lots of little shops and boutiques. I would definitely say overall too, like the Cape, as far as like where we went, kind of like an older kind of style of, shops and just like the architecture, I would say, it's not very modern. So just as an FYI. So we parallel park. So Matt drove. Parallel park, great. Like, let's put on some sunscreen. We're going to be walking around. So he's like finishing up putting sunscreen on. So, there was still room for someone else to park behind me. Okay, so parked on the right side of the street. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, so parked on the right side because, some streets you can park on the left. But this is the right side, and this BMW convertible pulls up, and this dad and his daughter are in the car. So he's backing in. Okay, no problem. Mind you, he has a stick shift car. Okay, stick shifts. So he's doing a little reverse and he's like pulling on, whatever. So then he pulls up and he must have thought he was in reverse. Kaboom! Guys, this noise really startled me. I was still standing on the sidewalk there. I was still standing right there. It was the loudest noise, like, that was just, like, 10 feet away. Oh, my gosh. So, like, oh, yeah, I'm in reverse. Not anymore, because now you are in the left rear of my car. So he totally smashed into my car, nearly had a heart attack, and I was probably pissed for about a minute because just like what was going through my head was that we're in the middle of the trip. Is this going to even make it to Boston, to Portland? We still got to drive back to Philly, So like all these things. And then I'm just hoping like, can we even open the trunk? Because I can't really see yet. And then he's like, oh my God. And like, it was a lease, so I don't know if he was like newly leased or like new to like BMW, because I'm pretty sure with BMW you have to like click it and then like move to like the next gear. Well, yeah, he just like didn't understand like why it happened. He's like, oh, this never happened before, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God. But we found out that his daughter goes to Penn, so yay, Penn. But yeah, so I was pissed and I'm like, well, can't do anything. So amen that I could still like take my car for the rest of the trip and, now it's just chilling outside, gotta waiting to be fixed. And cheers to Progressive with just making it so easy on the app to put a claim in, took the pictures, Matt called the police, got the police report just in case, you never know. And yeah, so he was like really like cool about it. Like there weren't any issues, thank God I wasn't like some crazy person. And I think he was also thankful that I wasn't like gonna go crazy either. But so yeah, I just, it's just one of those things where you couldn't believe that it just happened. And I feel like I'm thankful that I was standing there, because you don't know, like some people are real shitty and they would just drive away, or like, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have had all the information, so I don't know how that would have worked, I mean, with trying to get information. I mean, you would think, this guy was a lawyer, so, and he's with his daughter, like, you would think he would do the right thing. So glad that, hey, I was there, saw this happen. I was like, yo, this is my car. Literally, so I was like, yeah, this is my car. Like, literally in that tone of voice, because I was just like so pissed. And thank God I had my sunglasses on, so you couldn't see like what was actually happening to my face. But yeah, just got to get it fixed. But yeah, gotta be prepared for everything. Oh, I also forgot to mention, he didn't have his license on him. He like left it in New York, and they were just like bopping around New England, and but he had his passport. But like, just another fun fact. So make sure you have your license, you got everything in place with your car, all your insurance, because hey, this happens. It happened to me. All right. So hope you enjoyed this episode. I will tell you the rest of the trip in part 2. And you can listen on the bigdanepodcast.com/podcast. Select your favorite platform from there. Kindly leave a review. Just tap on that, write a review. Be golden. Okay. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And remember to look out for, part 2 next week. All right. Have a lovely rest of the week. All right. Peace out.